In studio to discuss the current weather situation is presenter John Sterley. A very good evening to you, John, and thank you for coming in tonight. Now, we often hear statements like the drought is being caused by severe weather patterns. What are these severe weather patterns?
Well, good evening. I think certainly there are phenomena in place that are causing the dry conditions in South Africa at the moment. The most common that seems to be predicted by the models at the moment is El Nino, which people have heard of. It's a totally natural phenomenon. Part of the Earth as a living system has these fluctuations that happen. When the ocean temperature in the Pacific Ocean at a tropical level is 2 degrees higher than the mean annual average, that creates an El Nino situation. When it's 2 degrees lower, it creates a La Nina situation, which is the complete opposite, and in South Africa means more rainfall than normal for a particular season. So currently we're in the El Nino fluctuation, and the ocean temperature is about 4 degrees higher than the average annual recorded ocean temperature. So that could and has indeed led to a forecast that shows drier conditions for the current wet season, which in the affected areas at the moment is the rainy season at the moment, the summer rainfall regions in South Africa.
How long is this drought expected to last? When are we likely to see some sort of reprieve? When are we likely to get rainfall?
Yeah. Well, I think there's quite interesting things that have come out of the models, and the one is that obviously where there's a changing system, it's not that there is no rain going to happen in the rainy season. The forecast is showing less rain than normal. So that, accompanied by the higher temperatures that we are experiencing and which have also been forecast, leads to, of course, a dry situation. I mean, people can understand that. If it's not raining as much and the temperature is higher, things are going to be drier. So the forecast in the immediate future for Gauteng, the Free State, the Northwest, and I'm talking for the next week and a half, the models aren't really showing much rainfall at this stage. However, there is a chance of isolated rainfall, very localized sort of thunderstorms. Heat creates that uplift. If the right temperatures are met and the right conditions atmospherically are met, then you could have some thunderstorms in spots. One of those situations here in Joburg where, for example, it could be raining in the East Rand and you phone your friend in Johannesburg or vice versa and it's not raining there and people wonder why. That's very isolated showers. That's caused from the immediate uplift in the heat that's created during the day. The forecast in the longer term, the models that we've seen from the South African Weather Service that we also show at the beginning of the season to indicate, you know, is summer going to be hotter? Is it going to be wetter than normal? The models at the moment are showing, unfortunately for us that are hoping for rain, that the likelihood of the situation becoming better in terms of rainfall will be autumn next year, which unfortunately for the affected areas in South Africa, autumn next year goes into those areas dry seasons, now back into winter. So when you're looking at the Free State, Gauteng, and you're looking at parts of KwaZulu-Natal, you've got your rainy season in summer and your dry season in winter. So if this trend is continuing to be forecast, we're unfortunately going to see drier conditions until spring 2016. So it is going to be a long dry session for us, unfortunately.
Okay, so John, it gets rather technical here and there, but just listening to what you're saying about these weather systems and the predictions of when we'll see rain, how reliable exactly are these systems in predicting when the rain will come? Because some media reporting we'll see it maybe in March next year. I'm wondering because there seems to be of late some unreliable things happening or not things that are happening that wouldn't normally happen, like snow on the Drakensberg Mountains in November.
Yeah, well, certainly the snow that we saw in the past 2 days, I mean, that was caused by a weather system not nearly as long-term in its effect as something like El Nino or La Nina. That was all caused by what we would refer to in climatology as a mid-latitude cyclone, which in layman terms is a cold front. Now that cyclone develops 60 degrees south of our equator, so 60 degrees south. It also occurs 60 degrees north in the northern hemisphere. But basically what happens is there's a warm front and there's a cold front. And the warm front travels slower across landmass than the cold front, and that's what causes the undercutting and the resulting precipitation. What we saw now this past week was a very late mid-latitude cyclone that developed, where it would normally develop, quite normal, with an associated cut-off low. Now that cut-off low travels all the way along the coast from where it develops and travels eastwards through South Africa's coastline and sucks moisture in with it. So that dumps quite a lot of moisture for the Western Cape. We saw the big storms recently, the past 2 days again, in the south coast through the Garden Route region, stretching eastwards as that system pulled it across, stretching westwards, sorry, as it pulled it across towards the west. And that snowfall was created by both those systems being quite strong. Unseasonable, yes, but I think if history, serves us correctly, which it often does, it has snowed every month of the year in the Drakensberg mountain range over time in history. Not to say that it was 1 year in particular where it snowed every month, but there has been recorded snow at one time in every one of the 12 calendar months. So these smaller systems can sometimes have an unseasonal effect on your weather. But the drier forecast and the warmer forecast, which is affecting the farmers and affecting the country's outlook on rainfall patterns, that's definitely a longer term weather system, if you will, or atmospheric fluctuation is perhaps a better word, because that's the El Nino system.
Just coming back to the drought, just talk us through the hotspots in the country, in terms of the hotspots in terms of the drought, and also just how dire is the situation, because people are banding about the word drought and saying it could have an impact on food security, on farmers. Just how concerned should we be?
Yeah, well, I think at any times when there's a drought or a dry season, specifically when it's hot and it's in summer, which is our rainfall season, and we know in Johannesburg we love the afternoon thunderstorms that some years we get every afternoon like clockwork, and some years we don't. The hotspots at the moment in the country, definitely KwaZulu-Natal. A lot of the farming in the KwaZulu-Natal, the Free State region, the Free State also as a province is battling with the dry conditions at the moment. When you look at the agricultural scenarios in those provinces, what they do agriculturally in those provinces relies very heavily on your summer rainfall patterns. They would, at the beginning of spring, traditionally plant their seeds, get their soils right, and wait for the big rains. The farms are commercial and huge, as well as the subsistence farmers, and they would wait for that rain to yield their crop and therefore sell their crop. So agri as a business gets affected. So in terms of that, I mean, the hotspots definitely, it's been all over the media, and it's no secret, are definitely going to be your KwaZulu-Natal region, sugarcane areas, your maize growing areas in the Free State, your sunflower oil and sunflowers, which obviously we get the oil from, those sort of growing regions. So where we grow our huge crops. Maize is a staple food for many people. There's so much product that comes out of maize that sometimes we don't even realize maize is involved. So those are the areas that would be highlighted as the definite hotspots.
That was weather presenter John Sterley talking to us there about the drought that many provinces here in South Africa are experiencing. We'll be back with the latest sports news after the break. Do stay